Select stream. Let's see if that worked.
Are we live or not?
I have no idea. But I'm surprised that Lewis didn't really have any weird gas issues. Oh, geez, never mind. I spoke too soon.
Oh, he must actually be live then. Yeah.
It was mean. You're a bully.
Put a cork in it, Lewis. Remember that? Oh. Where did that go? Put a cork in it. We used to have so many great sayings, Lewis. They're all gone.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Happy Days?
Not in a long time. Not in a long time.
They would end a scene like the button, like the comedic end, like punchline to end a scene would just be something stupid like, sit on it, Potsy. Like as if that's a joke that means anything.
I got
and then it becomes funny eventually.
I mean, that was a catchphrase.
Was it?
Yeah.
I got to
They
look
used
up.
it so much.
I never heard it, but it does sound vaguely familiar. I need to look up old sayings that people used to have that are no longer around. And I'm going to bring them back. Like, put a cork in it. That's one. That just came out.
Shiver me timbers.
Yeah.
Shiver me timbers. That's a great one.
Give him the 23 skidoo.
Like, I saw a TikTok video of a guy doing like a whole series of them. And he's like, whatever happened to I don't give a rat's ass? Speaking of rats, dude, I don't know what's going on in my house. We might have a rat problem. My wife mentioned it to me last night. Or no. She mentioned it to me like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I haven't heard anything. But last night I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm like, I'm hearing these crazy noises. And I get up, and I start walking towards my bathroom, and it sounds like two rats are fighting, over some
in
piece
your
of
house.
It sounded like, so I couldn't quite tell. It sounded like it was either in my bathroom wall or underneath my bathroom. And I couldn't tell. And as soon as I walked over there, it completely stopped. And we have like this utility closet where our heater sits. And I was like, maybe they got in there, because like a month ago, my wife went in there and there was like this bag of Halloween candy that we had stored in there, all gone. All the Halloween candy, all gone.
Oh, dear.
But there's no rats in there, or there's no turds. That's usually what you find are the rat turds. Like, that's the giveaway. So I wasn't sure. Like, we leave that door open all the time just because people forget to close it. So I was like, I don't know if they got in and they ate the candy and left, or if they're actually getting away. And rats are insane. They will chew through anything. They'll chew through wire. They'll chew through carbon fiber, steel barriers. It does not matter. They will chew through it eventually, and all the candy was gone.
we had a rat problem when we had the crack house next door.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Did you go say, "You dirty rat"? There's another one.
The rats, they would. They actually did. They chewed through our floor.
Wow.
From our garage upstairs into our house. I had a BB gun. One time my wife came down and I was sitting like waiting for this thing to come out.
Lewis Wallace, bounty hunter, rodent bounty hunter. You're like the dog of the rat world.
Stupid thing.
Dang. If they,
I've heard like scrambling in my walls ever since I moved into this house.
Really?
But once they breach the walls, that's when you got to take action.
You got to burn the whole house down. Yeah, man. Rats teeth are made of like adamantium. It's like they could literally chew through absolutely anything. They make it into everywhere, and they're so smart. I used to have pet rats when I was in elementary school. They are supremely intelligent beings. They're smarter than most humans that I know, which says a lot about the friends I keep. But I don't know. So now I have to like figure out what's going on, if we have a rat problem or not. Which, if they're in the walls, that's like the worst kind of problem to have. And I have an old house. Like, there's probably some gaps.
And you got pets?
And I got a lazy, good-for-nothing dog.
So snap traps are probably out of the question.
If they're underneath my house, if the city of Seattle would allow me to fire a rifle within the city limits, I might try to go that direction.
BB gun. They'll let you use a BB gun. Flamethrower? How about that?
I don't know if flamethrowers are legal. Like, I'd put like one of those like 16x scopes on it. I'd be in a ghillie suit on my roof, just waiting.
Actually, you know what? And this is honest advice. Get yourself a rat zapper.
What is that?
It's a they make the ones that I had were industrial strength ones.
Okay.
And those they're basically just a metal tube.
Yeah.
It's flat on the bottom. and sits there. And it's got these 2 electrical leads that go off of it to this battery pack that has like, I don't know, 6 D cells.
800 volts.
Yeah. And so you put a little bit of food in the center of that thing, and it sits on a plate, like a metal plate. And that's not heavy enough to trigger it. But when the rat goes in, the plate, drops down and it completes the circuit. And then you pick up the tube and dump the dead rat out.
Dang. It's hardcore.
It's fast
capital
and painless.
punishment.
It's way better than like, glue traps, which can, be a big mess, and they're not very humane. And rat traps, I mean, my God, one time we had rat traps. We hired a guy actually, because we were like, oh my God, these rats are all over our house. What are we gonna do? And this guy put rat traps in our house. We had like a gig. We went away for the weekend. We came home. A, the house smelled like hell.
Death.
And
Ugh.
B, it looked like a scene from Pulp Fiction. There was blood all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
That's when we discovered the rat zappers. The rat zapper is a fantastic.
The rat zapper.
Rat zapper. It's a
Okay,
fantastic
man. I have to look
product.
that up. I think I may have just had one of the best ideas in my entire life.
Rat stew?
The Ratapult. It's a device with cheese. The rat goes in. When it's on the plate fully, the gas-powered piston activates. Boom! Launches that rat about 300 feet into the air, preferably towards your neighbor's house.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my! The Ratapult, man.
That's a good name. That's
Trademark.
Right up there with Rat Zapper.
Trademark. We need to make this happen. Because you know what happens? My neighbor says there's 2 kinds of people in this world: people who have rats and people that don't know they have rats. Because when we moved in, we had almost no rats, and then as is happening all throughout my neighborhood here in Seattle, because I live in like an older neighborhood, old houses, is the house next door within like 3 or 4 months got sold, and then they tore it down. And when they tear down the house, all the rats on the whole property flee, right? And they all came into my yard, and they've been here ever since. Well, you know what? Ratapult says it's time to send them back. You're just like starting your car in the morning, and you hear this, thump, and then all of a sudden, this rat just like hits your windshield and explodes. The Ratapult, man.
I like it.
I gotta make this happen. I'm not sure it would be legal, but rats have no rights, right?
In Seattle, they probably have more rights than you.
That might be true, actually. There's like rodents, tenant laws, I got to make sure I read them their rights. All right, look. The Ratapult, man. That's it. That's going to make me the millions I need to get off this hellscape of a podcast. All right? Let's go.
Jeez.
Oh, okay. It seems like you might be able to get sued if a errant rat falls on some lady on her jog, just pegs her, coming down at like terminal velocity. You're like, what is that? Just hits you right in the neck.
You can get yourself a wagon like that guy had in Django Unchained with the bouncing tooth on it. Yours will have a
I never saw it.
Bouncing rat.
All right. Let's see here. I think we're good to roll. I got to be out of here in 1 hour because
I'm glad we just wasted 15 minutes.
Well, not to
rats.
mention the 25 minutes. What you were doing, whatever you were doing, refilling your chi and your water bottle and all that stuff. Fixing GarageBand, which decided to add an echo effect to Lewis's audio right before.
That was so awesome.
All of a sudden, it's like, God, is that you? Okay. Let's see here. Let me cue up Mrs. You-Know-Who, and we'll get this thing rolling. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, my dear, I heard you talking about rodents. I, too, utilize rodents in my activities of allocating. No, Mrs. D. Oh, my goodness. We don't want to hear any more about that. I thought that was only Richard Gere. Is that a real thing? It's a story I heard long ago, but
Ooh.
I hope it's not real. Please don't tell us any more about that.
Ugh,
That's not what we're here to hear.
Think about it.
Yeah. See, you knew. That makes me suspicious. Oh, you want the tweet action, don't you, here, Lewis?
Be great.
Mrs. D, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. I'm not even sure dear Griffin Jones is old enough to hear about some of these things. I think I just figured out what the D stands for, too. Dear Griffin Jones. It's the name his mom wanted him to have. Let's see here. If you don't mind, we'll get this thing rolling. I got everything ready to go, I think. In 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome to the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute app conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Erfon. Last join me today. He spent the first week of 2025 walking around the writer cage while ticking the bars with his horse crop to remind them of the consequences of poor grammar and spelling issues. He's a managing editor of CultCast. Lewis Walls is here. Ding, ding, ding.
Nothing like a good AP style tip first thing in the morning.
Also with us, this is the only hour of the day when his eyes are exposed to sunlight. The remaining hours, they'll be hidden behind the Vision Pro, even while he's sleeping. He's a writer of CultCast. Griffin Jones is here.
Good evening. Erfon, I have to ask.
Oh.
Did you buy a computer last week?
Well, I intended to, but I was at an all-you-can-eat waffle, all-you-can-eat waffle cafe all last week, agonizing over my purchase in what can only be described as one of the most painful and agonizing decisions of my adult life. What MacBook Pro do you buy? What iPad do you buy? It's been years since I've purchased either. I think my last iPad I purchased in 2018, and that thing's still going strong. So I think that might be what we lead with. I spent 2 hours, probably 2.5 hours actually, in 2 different sessions at the Apple Store.
Sessions?
Pixel peeping to the nth degree. I had 2 MacBook Pros, literally side by side, one with the nano texture, one without. And I was literally opening up photos, opening up videos, Final Cut Pro, Logic, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They must have thought I was crazy.
Has entered the chat.
I was hunched over like this and squinting at those things, like butt sticking way out. There were probably people trying to get to those MacBook Pros. I was like, these are taken. And I think I finally arrived at a decision. I know how I'm going to spec my machine. And I was going to reveal all that here on the show today and then tell you about my first encounter with the nano texture displays on the new MacBook Pros. Staring at them for as long as I did, I think I came to some really interesting discoveries and conclusions. So we'll talk about those. I hope I'm not hyping it up too much, but it really was an interesting experience. Before we dive in, I want to thank Squarespace for supporting this episode, squarespace.com/CultCast. It's 2025. You still haven't started a website. Your life still isn't together. You're still not having those dollars roll in like I do for CultCloth, and you're ready to change all that. Well, it couldn't be easier. Head to squarespace.com/CultCast, and they have this technology called Squarespace Blueprint AI, and they also have like these built-in SEO tools. Start a completely personalized website with their new guided design system. I can't speak today. Squarespace Blueprint. Choose from professionally curated layouts and styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up and in mere moments. You can have it up in minutes, or you can really dive in and absolutely customize everything to your brand or business. It will be optimized for every device. Easily launch your website and get discovered fast with their integrated optimized SEO tools. So you actually show up to people online and they find you when they go to search for you, which is obviously really important. And you can start websites of all kinds. I always say you can start a simple one-page website to promote yourself to protect prospective employers. You could start a members-only website. You could open up a calendar where people can book time with you if you have an actual skill, unlike me, that you could teach to people. Or you could do what I do. Start a product and then just see the dollars roll in. And I'm able to do that thanks to Squarespace because of their seamless checkout experience. I accept credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, which is obviously a huge one for us. And in eligible countries, customers have the options to use buy now and pay later and Afterpay and ClearPay. You can sell real products, digital products, music, ebooks, anything. And if you head to squarespace.com/CultCast, you can sign up for the trial. And if you like what you have after your trial, you can use code CultCast during your checkout for your first purchase of a website or domain. You'll get 10% off. And that's code CultCast at the URL, squarespace.com/CultCast. All right. Sending it back to me for the big reveal. Let me just start by saying 2.5 hours maybe in the Apple Store, sitting there looking at iPads, looking at MacBook Pros. What do I want to buy? Do I want a 15-inch or the 14-inch or the 16-inch? And doing tons and tons and tons of research, I finally decided I am going to go with the 14-inch. I'm not sure I'm making a horrendous mistake. I have been one of the people that have said don't buy the 16-inch because of the throttling that happens because that computer is unable to cool itself.
I mean, don't buy the 14-inch.
What did I just say? The 16-inch? Yeah.
Don't buy the 16.
Thank you. Don't buy the 14-inch because its cooling system isn't adequate enough to cool the M4 Max or the M3 Max. But Apple's done a little trick this year where they only allow you to get, is it 32 gigabytes of RAM unless you upgrade to the M4 unbinned, the M4 Max. So if you want more RAM, you have to upgrade to the best M4 Max chip, which is one of my motivations to do it. I also have been doing tons of research online, which there isn't enough, to be honest with you. There was more for the M3 generation, but I did see some videos where people benchmarked the M3 Max, the unbinned version, and the 14-inch version MacBook Pro did okay. Like, it actually wasn't really throttling that bad at all. So I'm not really sure what to believe. I mean, holding it in your hands, that machine is so light that it almost makes it feel like it couldn't possibly be powerful because it just doesn't have like the substantial weight of the 16-inch version. And because it's not big, I mean, it doesn't have the metal mass needed to, I think, appropriately or quickly cool down the unbinned Max chip. But I'm going to find out. That's going to be the one that I get. So the next decision was, am I going to go silver or space gray? I should pull this up. Or space black. I'm so bummed that Apple got rid of the space gray because that really was my favorite color. And I wasn't really sure that I would love the space black. And to be honest, I'm not sure that I do. But it does look really good in person. And at least to my taste, like the silver just kind of looks a little bit cheap. And I don't really know how else to explain it. Like, it just doesn't feel as refined as the space black. And so for that reason, and this was one of the hardest parts of the decision, I decided to go with the space black. And I figure, you know what? I'll probably have this machine for like 2.5 years. And if I don't love it, then I'll go with something else. Plus, I do have a 2-week return policy. But out of silver and space black, I do think that space black looks better.
Are you going to show us? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there it is. There it is right there.
I thought maybe your
I was vamping while I pulled it up.
cam wasn't working.
No, my brain wasn't working.
Your big setup.
I also like that the space black has like like more of like a slippery, smooth finish, whereas the uncoated silver aluminum, it feels more like porous and rough, which I actually don't enjoy. And I just don't think it looks as high class as the space black does. Like the space black has like this depth to it that the more I look at, I really kind of like. So that's the color that I'm going for. Then the other question was, okay, how much storage, how much RAM? I have this compulsion to always get the best that Apple sells, and I don't want to be inhibited in any way in performance. Even though I probably would be fine with 48 gigabytes, just to be extra sure, I decided to go with 64 gigs of RAM because that's going to put me in the territory of where there's really nothing I would ever do with this machine that would take me past or even probably close to 64 gigs. So that's the RAM that I'm going with. Level Remix from the chat is saying space gray greater than space black. I totally agree, man. The space gray was such a classy color. I'm really disappointed they got rid of it. It is still available on the lower tier MacBook Pros and on the MacBook or the iPad Airs. But alas, not for the machine that I want. Although they did tell me at the Apple Store that silver is by far the most popular selling model. But
silver is the iconic
yeah
Apple color, in my opinion. I was always disappointed with space gray. I thought it was like too middling gray to be that much different or look any better. You end up with a computer that doesn't actually look that much darker, and it just doesn't match your silver accessories. So I've always been middling on space gray. But
yeah, I mean, that was also one of the things. I wanted a computer that matched my studio display, but then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, my current machine is space gray and doesn't match my silver studio display. So I don't know that I'll even notice once you get it. And again, there is something about that silver finish that just kind of looks and feels cheap to me, or cheaper than the space black. I know that it's really popular. I would probably be happy if I got it, but I got to make a decision. So I decided to go with space black. So then we arrive at the SSD. How much is the right size for me? Because I'm going to be editing videos, and oh yes, I will be making my return to YouTube. I've already got a video planned out that I'll be starting with.
Your fingers.
They're right there. I'm doing. I think I inherited this from Trump. Like, these are the Trump talking heads. You know, Lewis, everybody says silver, but I like the space black. How's that?
Got to play the invisible accordion, though.
Oh, that's right. So I decided to go with 2 terabytes. I was toying with the idea of 4, but the cost for 4 is totally and completely outrageous and absurd, and I refuse to give Tim Cook that much gravy. It's like an extra $1,000 for the 4 terabyte. And what I realized is so there's a really great, here's a tip for you. There is a free tool called, oh my gosh, I forget the name of it now. It's from the Omni company. It's called Omni Disk Sweeper. And it's a great tool. They've had it around forever. And again, it's free. You just download it, and then you could do a full drive scan, and it will show you where all your storage space is being taken up. And what I realized is I have a bunch of old Final Cut videos and libraries still on my machine that are taking up like 700 gigabytes of space. So I was like, oh shoot, it looks like I have only like 800 gigabytes of space left, but in actuality, I have like 1.5 terabytes of space that I could use for videos. And I'm like, that seems like it would be enough.
Final Cut and Xcode, they will just vacuum and hoover up every available disk, like gigabyte of space if you ever open them. Like if you ever open Final Cut or Xcode, they will just take it all.
Logic too, because it will try to install all these sound libraries that you may not actually need that just take up. So anyway, Omni Disk Sweeper, great tool because, you know, it will show you where all your space is. And then I need to bring my computer up here so I can connect it to my 10G switch and start dumping all this stuff onto my NAS. So 2 terabytes. So now we arrive at the final question, the one that you may all be wondering. Nano texture or not nano texture? I have always been a glossy screen person. I do not like matte displays. And I don't really know why, but I think it's because oftentimes you lose contrast, you lose color rendition, you lose saturation. And I've not seen the nano texture display on the new MacBook Pros. I may have seen it on maybe like the premium like XDR studio monitor. What is the name of that actual monitor? Is
Pro Display XDR.
The Pro Display XDR. Thank you.
As far as I know, you weren't even considering this last week.
I wasn't even considering it. No.
What made you think to look? Were they just like in the store and you wanted to?
So I was just sitting there looking at MacBook Pros, and I was looking at one in particular, and the Apple guy standing around was like, that one has the nano texture display. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. And I wouldn't even necessarily have noticed if he had said something because it is a marvel in screen technology. I was blown away at how good it was. When you're looking at it head on, it does an unbelievable job at minimizing glare. And that's when I started. So the 2 MacBook Pros, one with the glossy display, one with the nano texture display, were side by side. So I started doing comparisons back and forth to see like what are the weaknesses of this coating, because the strength is, once you're told that you're looking at it, is like so obvious. The minimization of the glare behind you and around you, which on those glossy displays happens in so many different scenarios, is really tiresome for my eyes. Like when I looked at the nano texture display, I felt like my eyes relaxed. And it brought the screen to life in a very cinematic way. Like it's almost looking at living paper, like living photographs. And the pictures that I looked at on it looked way more natural. The videos looked better, I thought, in many ways on a screen with a nano texture display because they just looked more lifelike. And it really added like this realism to the photos and videos that I was looking at. And it makes the screen and the MacBook Pro so much more useful because you can take it more places and not have glare all over the place, which again, if you have a shiny device, I don't think you necessarily even realize how much glare you're getting. And then I started thinking about some of my favorite displays that I have, like my my Sony television, and I'm like, it has a matte display, and that thing looks absolutely gorgeous. So the technology, the nano display technology is just, I think, probably the best that exists. It's definitely the best that I've seen. A lot of displays use like a spray coating, which minimizes reflection, but it also minimizes color saturation, contrast, and the nano texture display pretty much looks like a normal screen, except for the fact that there's no glare. Now, going back and forth between the two displays, pixel peeping to the nth degree, I would say I did notice a slight reduction in specular highlights, like the brightness of things that are on display. Like there was a movie I watched in iMovie of these cars racing around a track, and I kept pausing it, and the headlights looked slightly dimmer, right? Like just like 2%, slightly dimmer. So it is there. And there is maybe a slight reduction in viewing angle, I think. Like if you're off center, then maybe the screen doesn't pop as much. But other than that,
what about clarity and fuzziness? Could you see that the pixels were a little fuzzier?
No. I mean, if you get a magnifying glass out, maybe. But from the distance that you stand from the monitor, and I was even going closer than that. I was like literally putting my face up into this thing and going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. You may see like a 2% reduction in clarity and maybe contrast, but would you notice it? I just don't think so. And what you gain, I think, is so much more practical and useful than what you lose. So I'm going to spring for it, man. I'm going to go for the nano texture display, which, again, I don't typically like matte displays. I have always avoided them. But this one is in a class of its own. It is just the best matte display that I've seen. And the one concern that I have is the longevity of the nano texture display, right? Like they want you to use like a very special cloth. And I was asking the guys around me, I'm like, hey, how many of these do you see come in for issues? And they're like, oh, we don't really see them come in very often, but we have seen issues on the demo models where people don't use the right cloth and it actually damages the screen because it's etched into the screen. I'm like, dude, that's irksome. Like a microfiber cloth actually can damage the screen. So I don't really know how I feel about that, but
as a purveyor of cleaning cloths.
Well, that is true. And they said that,
you're like, do you know who I am?
And that's what I pushed the guy in the shoulder. I'm like, do you even know who you're talking to, pal? And I think the polished cloth, like the CultCloth, carrier cloth, I think probably would work fine. But I don't know what Apple's cloth does or how it's constructed that it doesn't harm the studio display or the nano texture display. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to risk it. And I've said that on this show too. I'm like, if you want to risk it, let me know how it goes. But I don't know that I would want to. But that, I would say the nano texture part was, aside from the color, was the most excruciating part of the experience. Because, like, again, I wasn't planning on even entertaining the nano texture display. And I'm not totally sure that I want it. But it's so dang good that I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. I'll take one for the team. I'll probably make some YouTube videos about it. I'll be able to talk about it here on the show and let you all know what I think. Now, if I may switch topics, I'm also looking at iPads. And I have decided to go with the 13-inch iPad Pro. Like, that thing is so big and beautiful and so much fun to write on. I don't really find, people have commented that it's too big, it's too heavy. And that may be true. I have to live with it for a while. Like, I could see myself using it for 2 weeks and deciding that it's too big. I don't think that it's too heavy. It's only maybe a third of a pound more than the 11-inch iPad Pro, which I don't think is onerous, but that big, beautiful display, just having that huge display that you can hold in your hands like that, I just think I would get a lot of utility out of it. And I do like drawing on it a lot with the Apple Pencil. The new features they added for reducing the lag of the Apple Pencil and showing you like where your cursor is going to land actually make it a much more enjoyable experience to use than my current iPad. Now, the funny thing is, with the iPad Pro, you can also get that with the nano texture display, if you fork it over, you have to get like the 1 or 2 terabyte model to even have access to that feature. But I actually don't like it on the iPad. I feel like the iPad display loses some inherent like character and soul with the nano texture applied to it that the MacBook Pro doesn't lose. How does that work? I don't know. But I liked the glossy display.
Since you're poking the iPad.
Yeah, maybe. And it does feel different too. Like the nano texture has like this papery feel to it. And it just doesn't have like the same level of sheen that the glossy display has. So I'm going to go with the 13-inch base MacBook Pro or the iPad Pro. And I could see myself using that for a week because I use it in bed a lot and just deciding that it might be too large. I don't think the weight's going to bother me. I think it's going to be the size of anything, like when I'm laying there. Like I actually cut out a 13-inch shape out of cardboard, and I took it to bed with me. And I sat it on my chest. And because the 11-inch iPad Pro, I can sit it on my chest and my hand with my elbow resting on the bed can touch the top with ease. And I was worried that wouldn't be true about the 13-inch. So I put it on my chest and I put my elbow on my bed as I was laying down. And I was like, oh yeah, I barely touch. Like, is that going to become annoying to me? But like having the extra screen real estate to like browse websites and having a larger YouTube video picture-in-picture, this is totally TMI. So like when I'm in my bed, going to sleep, I read for a little while and then I have a YouTube video picture-in-picture on my iPad. And with the larger screen, I get to have a larger video, which I think I'm going to enjoy. And like photos and stuff on the larger iPad Pro just kind of spring to life. And people always say it's too big. They're like, it's too big to take on an airplane. It's too big to do this. It's too big to do that. I'm like, don't talk to me about big, bro. I mean, the 16-inch MacBook Pro, that thing's big. That computer, I didn't realize that I'm one of the few people that goes for the larger model. I think everyone else goes for like the smaller 14-inch version. The 16-inch is like 1.5 pounds heavier. It is massive, and I find myself not wanting to use it because it is so big, and I definitely don't want to take it anywhere because it's almost 6 pounds. That's a big boy. Like the 13-inch iPad Pro being 1.3 pounds, I'm like, oh no, 1.3 pounds. I'm like, do some push-ups. That's the problem. The problem isn't the iPad Pro. The problem is your buys, your tries, and maybe your lats. That's what you need to work on. You know what I'm saying, Lewis?
I know what you're saying, but
I know Prison Lou does. So
I'm just saying, every time I hold an iPad, I'm like, what is this thing? I have to hold it in my hands. The best iPad is when it's just on your face and you're just floating imaginarily in front of you. When I lay down in bed, I don't have to worry about holding it at all. I can just have a gigantic TV-sized screen on my ceiling.
This guy's going to go for the Vision Pro Max when it comes out. It's going to be like, a full-on motorcycle helmet, So just to recap, here's where I'm at. So I'm getting the 14-inch space black MacBook Pro, M4 Max unbinned, 64 gigs of RAM, 2 terabytes of storage. I'm going to spring for the nano texture display. Do you see what I do for you people? This is not even for me. This is not even something I'm doing for myself. I'm doing this for you. And then I'm also going to get the 13-inch iPad Pro. And we'll see. I'm going to use them both for 2 weeks. I don't anticipate that I will want to return the MacBook Pro, although I am concerned about throttling. But even if it throttles a little bit, like let's say it's like 5 or 10%, as much as it pains me deeply, powerfully, poignantly, to put a chip into a computer that can't run at full capacity because the cooling system is inadequate to run said chip, I still think that the trade-off in size and portability might still be worth it for me. So that's going to be the one that I go for. I'm not even going to tell you how much all this stuff costs. I mean,
that's going to be a chunky cashback on your Apple Card. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I'm not even going to use my Apple Card because I get an extended warranty for free through my credit card company. So I'm going to go that route. And I figure I'll wait and see how the MacBook Pros play out. Like when the OLEDs come out, I will probably upgrade again. Although I think I mentioned last show, like all the Genii that I know, they're all waiting for that machine. So there won't be any huge discounts to be had, at least for me, for that machine until it becomes refurbished. So like when that machine comes out, I'm going to be waiting like at least 4 months before a refurb one pops up that I could probably get a discount on. So this is going to be the comeback kid, the comeback machine, the one that takes me from 23,000 YouTube subscribers up to probably, I wouldn't be surprised if I got past 26 or 27 in a year. Or maybe even 30, Lewis. You don't know what's going to happen, but I am going to be making more videos. Oh boy, Level Remix did the math. Yep, full retail is $4,449. I mean, it's an astounding amount of money. Now, of course, that's not what I'm going to be paying for it. Thankfully, thanks to some dear friends who have offered a discount. I don't get Apple Care. I don't think it's worth it on the MacBook Pro. And if you use the right credit card, you just get it for free. It's like, now it's not the same, but you do get an extra year of warranty. And so I'm only going to have this machine for probably 2.5 years anyway. Well, who knows? We'll wait and see what happens. That's the plan anyway. So this is a big departure from my comfort zone. These are not the devices I typically buy. Like, I have always been an 11-inch iPad person. I have been a 16-inch MacBook Pro. In fact, when the PowerBooks were out, they had a 17-inch model. I used to have that. I used to have a 17-inch PowerBook. That thing was glorious. It was beautiful. It was fast. And, it had a huge display. I'm not looking forward to going to the smaller display. But one of the things I think I realized as I was going back and forth between these MacBook Pros is, like, the 14-inch is totally doable. Like, when I loaded up Final Cut Pro, when I loaded up Logic, the screen is definitely noticeably smaller than the 16-inch when you have them side by side. But it's still totally workable. I mean, I don't foresee missing, like feeling like I can't do my work on a 14-inch display. And picking that thing up is such a treat. It's so lightweight. It is 1.5 pounds lighter than the 16-inch MacBook Pro. I mean, that is just huge. Now, is it going to be throttling all the time because it doesn't have the correct cooling mechanism or cooling system in place? Probably. But just turn on high power mode so that those fans are cranked all the time and let it rip, man. So there you go. That's where I'm at. It took me 2 weeks to arrive at this decision. 2 sessions, two distinct trips to the Apple Store, a stop at Shake Shack, and then another trip to the Apple Store to make this.
You had a meal in between your trips.
Yeah, I had to.
I had so much staring at that you were hungry.
Yesterday, man.
And ran out of energy.
And Shake Shack has this crispy chicken avocado sandwich that I was like, oh, that looks good. So I swung in real fast, scarfed that thing down, burned the top of my mouth. They'll be hearing from a high-powered legal team. The thing about Shake Shack, man, is I don't know how they do this. This might be a tangent. I don't know how they do this. Their burgers come out. When their burgers are ready for you, they are piping hot. Like, nowhere else have I been where the burger is actually hot. By the time it gets to you, it's like warm. I burned my mouth on this thing. They must take it out of the fryer, and they've got like a former pro football player, quarterback back there who like spiral throws that thing right into the bun, and then it comes right to your table. And
that's why they take so long to make the orders. They're actually cooked to order as the orders come in.
But there are restaurants that do the same thing. And I feel
Are there?
Well, touche. Touche. Made to order, asterisk. Orders. It's like a pre-crime from Minority Report. We anticipate orders ahead of time, and orders will be made at least through 45 minutes in preparation of your order.
It's microwaved to order, not actually cooked to order.
I could tell you places that microwave. I don't want to get sued though. Places that I've worked though, that you would think were really nice sit-down Italian restaurants, not so nice.
Who could that be?
Yeah, I won't say their name because I hear they're litigious.
Well, it can't be Olive Garden because you said they're nice.
Oh, what a wonderful place to work. I would never say anything negative about Olive Garden because just a really terrific place to work. Authentic Italian food, Griffin, like your mother used to make.
Authentic, asterisk.
Yeah. Aren't they authentic Ohio-based Italian food? I don't know where they're actually located, but it's probably in the Midwest somewhere, All right.
And that's all the CultCast we got time for.
Dun, 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 dun. Should I go ahead and start the music? So I'll let you all know how it plays out. Now I have to place the order. I don't know when it's actually going to get to me. And then see how I like it. I mean, there's one thing about having it in the Apple Store, and there's another thing having it, in your bed with you and on your couch with you, using it to make content. But one thing is for sure, no matter what MacBook Pro I get, no matter what iPad I get, the YouTube channel is being revived. I think this weekend is going to be when the first video drops. We'll see if anyone watches it. People are like, "Who is this guy?" They're like, "Are you for real? Like, are you actually back again?" Because I think I mentioned. I didn't realize this was 2 years ago when the new HomePods came out. It was 2 years ago in February. I returned to the channel with a video and I was like, "I'm back, baby!" And then I made that video that I disappeared for 2 years after that again. So I don't know if anyone is interested in anything I had to say anymore, but I'm going to try.
We were talking about old-timey sayings, right? What about don't let your mouth write a check that your ass can't catch. Cash.
My ass can't catch many things, Lewis. Maybe yours has special powers. Oh, man. All right. Shall we move on?
Oh, my God. Finally. Yes.
Don't act
I
like
only
you
have
weren't.
6 stories to do in half an hour. It's okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's definitely not
2
happening.
minutes apiece.
Let's send it to Lewis. Let's talk about some other devices people might be interested in. Lewis.
Yeah, the headline on this is iPhone SE4 and iPad 11 to launch, quote, by April. Some people were thinking that iOS 18.3 might be the time that Apple would come to release the iPhone SE4. But, and I guess snippets of code found in that operating system's beta build added some credence to this rumor. But somebody came along and threw cold water on it. Guess who it was?
Oh, boy. I bet it's somebody with a buzz cut who never smiles.
Yeah, total buzzkill.
He has overdeveloped frown muscles. I think that might be the problem.
Bloomberg's buzzkiller-in-chief, Mark Gurman, dismissed this rumor as, quote, completely untrue.
Oh, man.
He said this on X.
Yeah.
Yes, the new iPads and iPhone SE replacement are being developed on the iOS 18.3 train. Is that a term that Apple uses? But that doesn't mean they launch together this month. It means they'll launch before iOS 18.4 by April if all goes to plan. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
The buzz killer himself.
So don't get too excited. It's going to be a long, dark, and if you're in Ohio, cold January.
I don't think anyone was excited for this, Lewis. I'll be honest with you. The SE. Although I did get my wife the SE for Christmas. The Apple Watch SE, I should say. That thing's great. And it was $150. $150. And she doesn't really even want the always-on display. That's like the only feature that I feel like it's really missing, which they totally could do. It has the S8 chip in it. I'm like, they could totally have done always-on display. It's got an OLED screen. I mean, it is a really nice watch, but they totally nerfed it because at $150, they had to turn off the always-on display via software because otherwise it's just the watch everyone would get because they know that's the feature that I think most people probably want. So the SE device is going to be really nice.
Another possibility is the M4 MacBook Air. That's another rumored product that may be coming out around the same time. Is that enough to host an actual Apple event, or will these just be press releases? Yeah, we'll see.
I'm thinking press releases.
Yeah, if it's only going to be those, I mean, they're not having an event for the SE. That much is for certain. SE is a side note. It's an asterisk. It's the device that moms and dads and grandpas and grandmas buy, not the hardcore Apple fans. They're not making. It's not worth writing a press release about, in my opinion. But
iPad 11, press release. Minor spec bump, supposedly.
Yeah. You know what might be worth a press release? I'm too good at this. I need to retire. I've reached my peak. The first Thunderbolt 5 display with 6K resolution, which might be ideal for both M4 Pro and M4 Max users. I opened up to the wrong story. Oh, my stories are all out of order. I blame Lewis. So check this out. You might think that this is an Apple product, but you would be wrong, and we would all laugh at you for thinking that. This is actually a new monitor unveiled by LG. The new UltraFine 6K display. This is one of the new CES 2025 products that we thought was worth talking about. Dude, we need to go to CES one of these years. I miss CES. Griffin's never been. Lewis, it's been ages since you've been, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, God, I don't know, man.
I miss the
Probably
free
10
press
years.
sandwiches.
Probably 10 years. It's really
Yeah.
kind of disappointing.
Yeah, man. I would love to go. Although I was deeply disappointed when they moved it out of the Venetian into like the MGM rundown, hotel casino that no one wants to go to anymore. It's like grandma's smoking Marlboro 100s on the slot machines type of a place. It's like the Binions of Las Vegas.
Binions. Binions is awesome.
Oh, man. Anyway, so let's see here. Not only does this new monitor share the Pro XDR's amazing 6K resolution, it has bleeding edge connectivity of Thunderbolt 5, and would make it pair nicely with the M4 Pro and M4 Max MacBook Pros. It has a super minimal look to it, clean bezels, logo-free front panel. It actually looks beautiful. Rectangular form factor, complemented by a height adjustable stand. In fact, this picture that we're showing here, I thought this was a render because the bezels are so thin and they clearly copied the adjustable mechanism that Apple uses on the Pro XDR display. Like, how are they not being sued over this? It's the same. It looks like the same mechanism that allows you to move the display up and down. The UltraFine 6K employs a nano IPS back panel, 98% of the DCI P3 color space. And these specifications don't match the Pro XDR's capabilities, but they make it a really nice monitor and a great option to that, $5,000 monitor. And then, of course, it has Thunderbolt 5, and that increase in bandwidth could allow it to potentially support 120 hertz at 6K. Although I don't know that we know either way if it will do that, do we? I don't think
we
they
don't know
actually talked
exactly
about
what
that.
it will support, but Thunderbolt 5 allows that.
I think we're getting a new studio display this year. I really do. I think that Thunderbolt 5 teed up Apple to create a much better studio display. I'm going to be super sad when that happens. In fact, maybe I should sell mine in preparation. This was another reason why I decided to go with the nano texture, because I'm like, I had the studio display and it's glossy. So I'm like, if I really need the glossiness, which I kind of in a way do want the glossy because I know that's what most people are going to watch videos on. They're going to have like a phone or an iPad with a glossy display. But I can do that on the studio display. In any case, I think that Apple is going to update the studio display this year. And they'll probably have like this beautiful nano texture as an option. With Thunderbolt 5, it will probably have ProMotion. It will probably remain at 5K would be my guess. Or maybe they even make it 32 inches or something and make it 6K. I mean, who knows what they'll do. But Thunderbolt 5 and that increased bandwidth, that drastic increase in bandwidth, allows for all sorts of stuff that I think they probably couldn't make work on the current studio display because of like the bandwidth limitations. So there you go. Do we have a price on this?
No, we do not.
It's not announced.
If you got to ask, it's not for you.
But I'll bet right now it's going to be less than the $6,000 Pro Display XDR with a stand.
Well, that is true. I guess if you weigh in the stand,
That is a safe
$6,600 with tax in my area. $6,600. All right. Well, talking about other things that you may want to buy. Well, actually, with that segue, I got to give a quick promotion to CultCloth. Other things that you may want to buy. If you haven't yet bought yourself CultCloth, now's a great time to do it. Our promotion for getting a free extra carry cloth with orders $20 plus, it's back. It's back in power. And if you get an order in, you'll get our new version, our new generation of carry cloth, along with our other absolutely mind-blowingly good cleaning cloths, our CultCloth Duo. And if you get in a 3-pack, you can also get one of our polish cloths or several polish cloths, depending on which package you buy. And I don't know what it is about my Apple Watch. I think I mentioned this in a previous show. I feel like my oleophobic coating is wearing off. And it gets fingerprints on it really easily now, so I find that I'm swabbing the deck all the time now. And I use these CultCloth on everything. I use them on my watch. I use them on my TV. I use them on my monitors, keyboards. I use them on my mouse. I mean, you name it. There's just nothing that cleans, I would say, more quickly and more effectively than CultCloth. And I may work up the bravery to try these on my nano texture display because our polish cloth and the CultCloth have the same look and feel as Apple's polished cloth does, except they're much larger, which means you won't accidentally smudge your screen while you're trying to clean it. The Apple one is tiny. I think it's like 4 by 4 inches. I'm like, dude, I'm buying a $4,500 laptop. Could you not throw in like a larger size cleaning cloth? But no. So I might work up the bravery to try one of our cloths on it, but it makes me nervous. You know,
there's your first video of the new year.
Dude, that video. If the nano texture display was more popular, it might be worth doing. I mean, it would definitely get views. It's like, what does it take to destroy a nano texture display on my new MacBook Pro? People would watch that, but would it be enough to warrant the actual test? I doubt it. But in any case, we're freshly restocked. And if you have not gotten yourself some CultCloth, or you just want some more for your car, for anything that you want to keep sparkling clean, CultCloth.co, CultCloth.co, use code CultCast to check out, and you'll get an extra CultCloth on any order of $20 plus, and you'll have the best cleaning cloth in the biz, as they say. Who says that? I've heard people say it before. Best cleaning cloth in the biz. If not, it should be something that we do say. And if you don't think that that's something that we should say, well, you know what? You could stick a cork in it, Lewis. That's how I feel. Because I don't give a rat's ass.
Wow. 2 asses on one show.
Was that pre-show banter? Did we talk about that when we started? I can't remember. Because if not, people are going to be like...
saving? Yeah.
Okay. Because otherwise, people are going to be like, dude, why is he getting so aggro over this? Because we were talking about all the cool old sayings from the 90s that no one says anymore, and we're going to try and bring them back.
The 1890s.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it went back that far. I know you may have some from the 1890s that you used to use in your youth, but I wasn't around in those days. Anyway, you can put that in your pipe and smoke it, Lewis.
There's another one. Just you have an endless supply.
Well, it just seems to me like you can't quite smell what the Rock is cooking, so I'm trying to help you out.
Now, see, that's not that old timey.
Nah, that one's not old enough. I'll see myself out. All right, let's talk about. Dude, you know, oh my gosh. I don't think I looked at this story before we...
Oh, yeah, you're in for a treat.
I thought this was something that goes on your wall. But
no,
this
sir.
This is a little bit different than that.
Everybody, if you're listening to the edited audio version, check the podcast chapter artwork for this one.
This is Nanoleaf, which makes, a ton of cool smart home things. Made kind of an interesting move. Interesting move this time. They released this LED light therapy face mask that, frankly, looks like something out of a horror movie.
That's one of the that truly qualifies as one of the most bizarre things that we've seen at CES.
So it's $150, 10% off in a pre-order deal if you're not terrified that you'll scare all your roommates or your partners, whatever. Anyway, skincare device goes right on your face and harnesses the power of near-infrared light and IR technology to address various skin concerns.
Oh my gosh, these pictures!
The one that looks like the total Man in the Iron Mask or something.
It looks like a Jason movie, 2025.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. That is horrifying. Anyway, yeah. So it looks like what? It looks like it's made out of gray plastic. It's got a nose slot of some sort and eye holes and a red, oddly shaped like lip hole area. And then you can see the red
glow
light inside there, which makes it just look like 5 times more evil. Oh, my God. It's just... Anyway, let's see. It's cleared by the FDA for use. Features multiple LED light colors, including red, blue, white, cyan, green, and yellow, each serving specific therapeutic purposes. 7 specialized treatment modes and an ergonomic design that conforms to facial contours.
Dude, Dead Eddie from the chat is saying relight therapy is awesome. Is this like a real thing? I don't actually know. I mean, I'm sure it does something. If it's FDA approved, it must do something. But like, what is this supposed to do?
Yeah,
we were making fun of this in the Cultimax Slack. Ed said that looks like a very cheap Eastern European version of Iron Man, and I said that looks like someone described the Vision Pro to Salvador Dali over the phone.
Those are all good.
It's wild looking. So supposedly it can do things like take care of, fine lines that you got on your face, help with acne, uneven skin tone, which of course, I don't have any idea what they're talking about with something like that. Let's see. And research has indicated that red light therapy in particular may contribute to skin firming benefits.
Okay.
Who knows? I mean,
dude, I got to get one of these for review.
Yeah? You going to ask for
I might. If they'll send me one, I will hands down review this.
And will you wear it during an entire episode?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you should say that because I was like, Griffin and I wore the Vision Pro for an entire episode. That was one of the most technically challenging episodes we have ever done. You cannot see anything through the Vision Pro. Like I couldn't see my keyboard. I couldn't see the text in OBS to like press the buttons and stuff. If I could pull that off.
If you do it on a PC, you couldn't do the virtual display like I could.
Yeah, that would have been nice because I am doing it on the Cult Commander, which is the pinnacle of streaming technology.
I've been thinking through a potential workflow to see how I could join the CultCast as my virtual persona for an entire episode.
That'd be pretty cool if you could make that work somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see how it will have enough cores to get that hair volume calculation correct, but
my virtual persona, even after the Vision OS 2 update, still makes me look like a sickly Irish boy, but you never know.
Oh man. All right. How much is this thing?
$135.
Okay. All right. So $150. I mean, look, I just find this to be endlessly amusing. Like they thought this would be something that people would want and have decided to go through all the work to actually make this into a real viable product, and that it looks like this at the very end.
Yeah, how many LEDs does that thing have on it? Can you tell?
I don't know. It looks like 100, maybe 200,000
or so.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild looking. You would think that I don't. A more charitable thing would. It almost looks like a Mexican wrestling mask.
It does. That's exactly what it looks like. It's like a high-tech Mexican. Someone in the chat said it, Luchador. It looks like a high-tech Mexican wrestling mask.
They should give it some like sequins and stuff on the outside. Really play it up.
You could be Mexican Iron Man in this thing.
Should have LEDs on the outside too, so it can do like different patterns.
There you go.
Why are they only on the inside?
I mean, you could just wear it inside out. There you go. Hadn't considered that. All right, man.
Before you move off, I know we were talking about weird stuff at CES. I don't think this is in the show notes. I had a little pre-brief with Anker where they showed off some of the stuff they got, and they have this. It's a solar beach umbrella.
Okay.
What a great idea.
I'm gonna guess this has been announced. Solar beach umbrella.
Yeah. And they're not the only people to make them. That was the first time I'd ever heard of such a thing. You can charge up your all your gear at the beach or wherever, your backyard, whatever. Yeah, and they have this is another product category that I'm like moderately interested in, which is these electric powered coolers. And this one actually is like a freezer too. You could take ice and frozen stuff, and that's kind of wild. You take all that stuff to the beach, or on a camping trip or whatever.
Dude, is that what this Solix thing is? It's like a solar powered cooler. Dang, dude.
Yeah, and you're right. It is. It's by Anker Solix. They're it's like their solar energy,
and they make battery packs too, I think.
Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff. But I really like that umbrella. I know if I was at CES, that would have caught my eye. And stuff like that kind of made me sad. I like seeing that stuff in person.
Oh,
it's
dude,
cool
me
getting
too.
the briefing, but it's cool to just check it out.
Yeah.
Okay, next year
CES was always fun, man. It was always a good time. I mean, you just go, you hang out, and you make content, and the problem was like it'd be way easier to do videos than writing. Like, the writing was always like the drag, right? It's like you got to go there, and it sounds fun, and then you're like, oh, I saw all these products, and now I have to write like 10 pieces.
Yeah, you go back to your room and you start working at 10 p.m.
Yeah,
half schnockered.
Yeah, exactly, half. by 11 a.m., Leander's done for the whole day. And that's the other thing too. It's like you go to these press events and they're all just trying to feed you alcohol the whole time. And then you realize that Gallagher's there breaking watermelons and things have gotten way out of control. And you're like, what is going on?
Steve Miller Band's playing a special concert.
Yeah, right. Stevie Wonder is playing at the Monster Party. And
right,
anyway.
the Monster Party. I wonder if they still have those.
Yeah, man, those were the ticket right there.
Those were the days.
If you're willing to show those $100 HDMI gold-plated cables, you get to see Stevie Wonder at the Monster Party. All right, what else we got?
Oh man, we are running out of time.
Yeah, we're running out of time, man. Griffin, I think it's you now, isn't it?
Yep. So this is just a confusing sort of announcement. Dell has borrowed Apple's Pro and Pro Max product names. Dell rebranded all of its PCs with names that should sound very familiar to Apple users. Going forward, the company's computers will either be part of the Dell, Dell Pro, or Dell Pro Max product lines. Those aren't like sub-brands. Those are the names of the actual like laptop computers that they're selling. You can buy the Dell Pro, or the Dell Pro Max. They've completely thrown away all of the recognizable brand names like the Dell XPS, Dell Optiplex, Dell Inspiron. Like there aren't a lot of good PC brands. Like what else is there? Like the ThinkPad, there's the Sony Vaio. You know, those three, like Dell XPS. People know what that means. No, they're all gone. Dell Pro.
I actually don't know what those three brand names were. So in that way, and I've owned Dell computers in the past. I've probably owned at least two out of those three brands. So I don't know which one's Pro and which one's not. Anyway, so in that way, stealing Apple's nomenclature ain't the worst idea. But
well, it gets even worse because the worst part is that Dell, Dell Pro, and Dell Pro Max are only the model names. There's a second dimension because there are also trim levels: base, plus, and premium.
Oh no!
So that means that
they ruined
actual names of the computers you'd buy would be the Dell Pro Plus, Dell Pro Max Base, Dell Pro Max Premium, Dell Premium. These are just meaningless strings of words.
Oh, so like different levels of each computer tier?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, see, that makes it more confusing. I mean, it's kind of genius, actually, because Apple's naming convention does help you understand, like, where in the line you're buying. And, you know, like there's the M4, and then there's the M4 Pro, and the M4 Max. It's like, okay, I know where in the ecosystem I am. So, like, they stole it, which got them heavily clowned upon, and then they ruined the benefit by adding in all this extra stuff that just further confuses it and makes you not really know where you sit in the lineup. Because all their model names were confusing, and you never really knew like which machine was the best one and which was like the base one.
And you still don't, because they're just meaningless strings of words. Like it's the classic PC move where like, yeah, we'll copy what Apple is doing, but we'll just copy like the surface level veneer of their design and not actually copy like the strategy. So it's just swapping words for different words that are equally meaningless.
This is going to sound so fanboyish, but I was thinking about this when I was in the store. I was like, dude, I don't know what it is about Apple, but they just take everything to like the nth degree, and it's so well thought through and polished. Again, I take it back to like the nano texture display, right? People have been doing matte displays forever. And there are companies now that specialize in monitors with matte displays.
Apple used to make matte displays.
Apple used to make them. That's true. And now they come along and it's like this technology is one that had to have existed. I doubt that they pioneered it. Like I'm going to guess that they bought some company that made this technology and they release it. And it's like, dude, this is just the best that exists. Like, how come no one else was able to do this? Like, what is it about Apple? Even when you go into that Apple store and you feel like you're at the Smithsonian and you're just ready to just watch your dollars fly out of your pocket and you don't even care. And Apple's able to do that and other places aren't. Like there's just some kind of special magic that they have baked in because lots of people have lots of talented people working at their companies, right? It's not like Google doesn't have smart people or Microsoft or whoever, but Apple's able to motivate or organize or use those people in a way or empower those people in such a way that they're able to create something extraordinary. And you see that when you interact with their products. And it's just something that other people haven't been able to copy. I mean, that's the one thing that I think that was probably Steve Jobs' most important contribution to Apple is whatever he helped design or implement at Apple, that the culture, maybe it's the culture, that's the piece that people can't copy. It's the part that allows them to do all these other things that are so far ahead of so many other competitors. Anyway, I don't want to go too much on about this. I mean, it's like such a fanboy perspective. Griffin, do you want to promote your lock screen wallpaper technology story?
Locking?
Sure.
Toggling lock screen
so this is
wallpaper before we wrap up.
This is a pro tip for all those. You can check out in the link in the video description. In just a few minutes, you can create a cool iPhone lock screen wallpaper that can switch between 2 different images with just a tap.
Oh, dude, that is pretty cool.
So for instance, you might set up like 2 identical photos of a car with and without its headlights on. And that way, when you tap your phone screen, you can toggle the lights on and off. I have a few different examples. I included links to wallpapers that will do this effect in the article itself. Or you can, I think Leander added this to my article as an example. You can take duplicate photos of your boss and add fiery red laser eyes to one of them. And you can tap between the 2. Nice boss and boss from hell. I don't
I added that.
Okay. All you need to do is create a photo shuffle wallpaper, select the photos manually, and pick the 2 images that you want.
Oh, okay.
You have to set them to shuffle on tap, and then you can toggle between them.
Dude, this is a cool tip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to describe it, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and just see it. Putting the GIF at the top of that post was like
that was the magic sauce right there.
That
yeah,
shows exactly what it does. And
if you're watching the YouTube live stream, I have a few more examples here. If you know the TARDIS from Doctor Who, you can tap to make it disappear.
Oh,
tap
isn't
to bring
that
it
cute?
back. Let's see what else. Oh, here's one I did with the CultCast artwork. So one that's like the typical like 1984 style Macintosh artwork. Oop. Tap to bring in color.
Oh my gosh, this guy's out of control. I like the color one, man. Maybe we should switch to that color one.
The black and white one is already our branding.
I like that color one too,
It's
though.
a fun little secret.
Yeah, that's cool.
You
Well,
can
look,
go as far as you want with it. It's a pretty cool tip. And it doesn't just have to be 2 photos either. I discovered that as while I was reading this. You know, it could be, you can put as many as you want, I suppose.
Oh, really? So you like send
The
pictures.
hard part is finding wallpapers that'll do it. I searched endlessly and I couldn't really find any good ones. But
the thing is,
it has to be the right screen ratio, and that's like the iPhone screen ratio is a very specific thing, and you have to find wallpapers that are in a set of like 2 or 3 that you can toggle between.
But
Yeah.
you
I
couldn't
don't
find an example.
need to use this for making it seem as though the image is changing from one version to the other. Like you could just have rotating pictures of your kids in there, right?
could,
Like
yeah.
that would be a less fun, like flashy way to utilize the feature. But like you could, I didn't even know this feature existed. So like you could just switch your wallpaper so that you have like pictures of like whatever rotating
the
every
way
time
the
you touch your
photo
phone.
shuffle wallpaper is designed is that like Apple will intelligently choose the best pictures from your photo library and auto size them and like rotate on every hour or every day or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. See, I never
And
even played
that'll
around
do
with
it
that.
automatically for you if you want to do that.
Mine is just always set to the weather, because I just love knowing what the weather is. And like when I touch my phone and it wakes up, it's like, oh, it's sunny. Oh, it's actually raining outside. Like we got our new roof installed like 2 years ago, and they added like this level of insulation in there, so I can never hear the rain anymore. Like my old roof was just basically like tar paper adhered to like plywood, so anytime it rained, I could hear it. But like now, it's like, oh wait, is it raining? Like I almost have to ask Siri, like in that really annoying commercial with like Zoe, what was her name, Deschanel or something. We're just like, she's looking out the window, she's like, hey, you know who? Is it raining outside? It's Siri's like, yes, it's raining, and she's like literally looking out the window. But now I can't tell. So like now that has to be me, or I just look at my screen. All right, look, I've had it with you too. Plus, I actually do need to go, so we're gonna go ahead and need to wrap it up there. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. But you know what? The party continues. You could head on over to the very exclusive CultCloth. Well, you get clobbered if you don't fork it over before you head over there. But if you do fork it over, then you can come in. No one will clobber you. Just go to support.thecultcast.com, support.thecultcast.com. We're also on the all-new X, at least myself and Lewis are. I'm at Erfon, ERFWin. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. And Griffin has a candlelight dinner waiting for you to show up on any of the other platforms that he's on. It would just be you and him. It would be lovely. You guys can talk about old Apple products. That would be a good time. He's at D. Griffin Jones. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night, usually. I want to thank everyone for listening and hanging out live. Sorry we were late the last couple weeks. And we'll see you guys next time. Only like 1, maybe 2 days late. Because I forgot to release it on the Friday and I realized on the Saturday and I was like, oh, probably release it. That's what happens when we get out of practice lists. When we leave the framework.
Need a very strict regimen.
That's me. I am strict. I'm on a regimen, but as soon as I leave it, everything goes out the window. All right, everyone. That's it. Next time I talk to you, I may be doing so from a brand new MacBook Pro. But actually, probably not, because they don't ship until the end of January. Have a great weekend. Bye, y'all.